I want to pause you right there. Remember when Chris said he had a crazy look in his eye?
Yes.
Uh-huh. I just want to tag that in.
What's crazy is everything that you guys said is going to be addressed in this.
I feel like it. Okay, go ahead.
To the point where I think maybe one of you is Sandra Pink. Who knows? Just to prove me wrong. Because, I mean, they touch on every point that the two of you made. All right.
I love it when somebody touches on every. I'm just kidding. I feel like that was something you would have said. Okay, go on.
Yeah, I know.
You yell barracuda. Everybody says, huh? What? You yell shark. We've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
And now it's time for the No New Friends podcast with Scott, Mary, and Chris.
Come on, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
That's right. You're listening to the No New Friends podcast. I am your host, Scott. With me, as always, my co-host, Mary. Chris is not here this week. He is on vacation in the Catskills in New York. We miss the hell out of him, and we can't wait for him to come back.
Also, I'm very frustrated seeing that he's posting from Angry Orchard.
I know.
Like,
that's super
I feel
exciting.
like that's really rude.
I know.
I don't know. Unless we get souvenirs.
Unless he bring us. Well, how is he going to bring us souvenirs? He lives in New Jersey where he's going to have to mail.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I want him to bring me souvenirs.
He better. As always, please connect with us. Facebook, No New Friends Podcast. The Instagram, no.new.friends.podcast. YouTube, No New Friends Podcast, where I guess we got sucked into some trend of opening a soda can. I don't quite get it, but there's a video of Mary opening up the can with waffles.
All I got was a text saying somebody open a can, and Waffles was sitting next to me. I thought it was a good idea, but it scared her.
I know. I don't quite get it. But you know, whatever.
ASMR, I guess.
Yeah. Please support us on our Patreon, www.patreon.com/No New Friends Podcast. For just $3 a month, you can join our Discord. You can see all of our, or a lot of our private videos, Mary's private videos. And then also, if you do the $20 tier, then you can sit in our studio audience like Jared does. And Jared's given us a thumbs up.
Jared's killing
Jared,
it,
thank you for joining us as always.
Honestly, I feel like we should be paying Jared at this point because he puts up with our nonsense.
Yeah.
You know?
And then the most important thing that I could talk about is Best of Orlando competition for Orlando Weekly. Vote.orlandoweekly.com. We're under the category Best Local Color, Best Local Podcast. Here's the deal. This is going to be probably a shorter episode. It's 4th of July. Happy 4th of July, everybody. And I thought about just doing kind of a 5-minute Happy 4th of July, but something happened. There's an update to our previous episode that I felt we have to address. And
that you felt compelled to share this because, one, that's very big of you.
Yes.
Because you were wrong. You're very wrong. And I was very right. Which is, a par for the course. We know this, but I'm just happy that you're admitting it. And so I'm just going to let you take it away. I would like for you to say it.
This is, of course, an update to hashtag Saladgate. The other side has surfaced. Okay. So this is not a statement or an explanation from Hillstone. This is from a bystander. And how do we know that they were a bystander and not just making this up? Because they have a picture of this gentleman who, if you listen to hashtag Saladgate, you know he created this video about this salad experience. He couldn't take a salad to go and then was trespassed from Hillstone. So this person was sitting in the booth right behind this gentleman. And how do we know this? We have a picture of it. And not only that, he was videotaping the manager. So I'm going to read you this post that hit Facebook today. And the profile was Sandra Pink. That profile has since been taken down. It was admittedly in this, in what I'm about to read, was a made up profile because this person did not want to have their personal name information out there and just wanted to share the information for Hillstone's defense. So here we go. And Mary, stop me anytime if you want to, do a I told you so there or bring up a point. Feel free to interrupt.
There won't be any I told you so's because I think that's
I deserve
unspoken.
it. I deserve it. I laid down on the hill or died on the hill. I put the flag in.
You put the flag in the mountain. That's my phrase. I put the
flag in the mountain. I was dead
It's okay.
set.
Look, we're all learning. We're all evolving as humans. And I'm proud of you for seeing
Yeah.
Yes, we're all in a season of growth. Continue on, sir.
I'm not wrong very often, but in this case, I was wrong. And
what's your scale of very often? Like every second? Like, what do you mean by that?
Once a day, maybe.
Okay. All right. Continue on.
So again, we weren't there, but according to this response, this is this person's perspective of what happened. My dad and I were sitting at the booth next to this gentleman and his guest when this gentleman started raising his voice to the server about not being able to get a salad to go. At that point, it was fine, a little over the top, but fine. However, he continued to press the issue and started getting agitated. I even commented to my dad, has this man ever been told no in his life? To which my dad
stop you there.
Go ahead.
We've all encountered that, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
I feel like we've all been there.
Especially as restaurant managers, there are grown adults who we don't know if they've ever been told no.
Correct. Continue on.
Okay. To which my father responded, apparently not. We laughed and continued on with our lunch, thinking that was the end of it. By the way, later I'll explain that this is not the first time he has been told no, he cannot have that salad to go at Hillstone. The manager then comes out to talk to him and explains that they cannot do that salad to go. Now, I know that they have a corporate rule against takeout food for at least a couple of years now, and they only amended it during COVID. During this conversation, the gentleman really raises his voice and starts being aggressive with his tone, words, and energy. The manager professionally stood her ground.
I want to pause you right there. Remember when Chris said he had a crazy look in his eye?
Yes.
Uh-huh. I just want to tag that in.
What's crazy is everything that you guys said is going to be addressed in this.
I feel like it. Okay, go ahead.
To the point where I think maybe one of you is Sandra Pink. Who knows? just to prove me wrong. Because, I mean, they touch on every point that the two of you made. All right.
I love it when somebody touches on every. I'm just kidding. I feel like that was something you would have said. Okay, go on.
Yeah, I know. So the manager professionally stood her ground. It's a corporate rule that she cannot do anything about it, and kept repeating, I understand, I'm sorry, but we cannot do that. And eventually had to say, no, we are not going to do that for you, because he just kept pestering her. The pestering then turned into bullying. The gentleman kept threatening, I'm going to post this everywhere. You'll see. I haven't seen such ridiculous behavior out of someone since working at Disney Guest Services when a family came in demanding a refund because it had rained. And this is the writer of this article saying this. The manager leaves, and I was praying that was the end of it. His behavior made everyone around us so uncomfortable. Even the table of 4 businessmen next to the window were staring and commenting. Unfortunately, the manager had to come back again. But this time, the gentleman took out his phone and started recording her. She held up her hand and said, sir, you do not have my permission to record me. Please stop. She repeated this 5 more times. But he continued to record and speak very aggressively towards her, and yet was still smiling as though he was enjoying this encounter. At this point, I took out my phone to take a photo of him to have in case a manager needed it, hoping they were calling the police to issue him a trespass warning. In the photo below, you can see him smiling. A little while later, the general manager comes out and tells them to leave. The police then speak with him outside. Our server comes over and apologizes for the scene. My dad and I say, we couldn't believe this behavior and how amazed we were with the manager and how professional she was. Our server then tells us he actually did the same thing last week. Last week, I exclaimed. Yes, the same thing happened last week, but it wasn't this aggressive. So the gentleman knew ahead of this visit that Hillstone would not give him a salad to go, yet he still went back, caused a scene, and bullied these employees who are just following the rules, and then smiled and joked about it with the cops. And then they go on to explain that they're coming forward now after a week because it was time to take a stand. The reason why they want to stay anonymous is because he or she knows bullies like this guest and didn't want to be bullied or anything like that.
I mean, we've already established that this dude is like a personality. Like, he's a full-on character. So I would not doubt that he would not like drag this woman that he doesn't know.
And then he put out a business-related YouTube video yesterday and hashtagged it #Saladgate. So he brings it up in the thing and he's like, look, this whole Saladgate thing is blown way out of proportion. It's really not that big of a deal, blah, blah, blah. But the fact that he's putting #Saladgate in his YouTube
But he was
videos,
the one that like started it though. You know, he was posting what really, like, for me, when you were saying he was posting things at other restaurants and the Olive Garden situation, for example, to me, that meant that he was trying to make it a thing. And then now he's like, oh man, I don't know why this is all of a sudden a thing. I'm so sorry. No, man, like you, first of all, lied. And honestly, like he's lucky that there's not
this one eyewitness. He lied. We only have the one eyewitness. So right now it's
one eyewitness plus a ton of logic and years of being in the business that
you're not wrong.
Feel like, and this is not a I told you so. This is I've seen some stuff like this before, and I've seen guests who have turned stories into something a little bit different so that it seems like they're the true victim when really
and all he had to do was omit certain important details,
like, because
I pulled out my phone and was recording them.
He's not wrong. He was denied a salad to go.
I had already been told no last week,
and what I said was, I'm not calling him a liar. He's saying all these truthful facts, but he's omitting the parts where he is an asshole, like 100% terrible human being.
It just this is the type of thing that makes me mad because, you know, I like to see the best in people, and I like to believe that everybody is honest and everybody is telling the truth. And honestly, when I first started watching the video, I immediately took the side of the restaurant just because I know how restaurant guests can be, especially regulars or especially people who come in there often, but they're not regulars. Like, and even the regular, I know how these people can be. So immediately I was agitated before I even watched the video. Then I watched the video and I was like, okay, I can see the other side of this where the restaurant really screwed up. And then when I was waiting and waiting for someone to say something from the restaurant or a witness to come out.
Yeah, but you have to understand from like a PR perspective, in this situation, it would not have helped Hillstone to say anything because it would further, let me finish. It would further perpetuate the conversation when really this is a blip and it should go away. Also, Hillstone is not big. They don't have a PR person. I guarantee you that.
Sure.
They probably have, operations, and that's about it.
Right.
And they probably outsource their marketing, and that's not something that they're like, and yeah, this is a big deal, but this dude lied. And them coming out and saying, oh, he's a liar isn't necessarily going to help them right now.
Right. But do you think that even just to, maybe they don't even talk about this specific incident, but come out with this is our policy about behind certain to-go items, and we just don't do it?
No, they're taking they're Michelle Obama right now. When they go low, we go high.
No, and I get
hanging
that.
out. They're just being themselves.
And I get that. But for me at this point, because from what I've read from there, Hillstone did everything correctly. I look at
respect them more for not like this is not a concern for them. Like this dude is ridiculous. This is whack. And they're not going to spend their time focusing on this weirdo and giving him, like, don't perpetuate his whatever he's trying to do, because we all know that's what he is trying to do. He wants more exposure.
Right.
So let's not address that.
Right.
And that's very smart of them, I think.
And from that perspective, I get it. However, the way that I look at it is, I know I mentioned this the other day and I didn't really get to expand upon it, but when Blackfish came out, when the documentary Blackfish came out, SeaWorld took the stance that it's going to be no comment. I'm going to
pause you right there.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about the difference. This is a salad, Scott, in a restaurant.
Right. But the amount of attention that it got in the local community would be
nowhere near the same.
But I think it's proportional to the national attention that Blackfish got.
Not at all. Not at all. There's not documentaries coming out about this dude's salad experience.
I get what you're saying.
There's no life. There's no equivalent of life. There's no rights being.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
This is tomato. Like, you can't compare the two. You're comparing apples with school buses right now. I feel like.
And look, I don't want to debate that point with you. I disagree, because I think, okay, this has 60,000 views. 60,000 views for the city of Winter Park is a lot. That's a lot of
but
views.
My red wedding reaction video has close to the same amount, and I'm not telling people that's how they should react to the red wedding.
Yeah, but does
that make sense?
That's a fun video.
It is fun, but maybe this was funsies for this dude. Like he was just trying to get exposure. The people at Hillstone realized that. I think they did the right thing. I wouldn't have said anything personally from a PR standpoint. Let it go.
Look,
let it go.
I get it, but what I wanted to find out from your perspective. So I've given this a lot of thought, and Rachel and I talked about it. So as a restaurant manager, because we've run into this where we don't provide something, or it's against a policy or whatever.
We don't have it. It's just gone.
Not we don't have it. Not we don't have it, but we are telling a guest no. And I've run into this where the guest gets irate, and it becomes this whole thing. There's been times when I've given in and just be like, look, we don't do this, but I want this to go away and I want it to stop. So here you go. And I kind of give in to avoid something like this. Now, what about you? You're a lot thicker skinned than me.
I wouldn't say I'm thicker skinned. So when I used to work at the restaurant before where we worked together, my nickname was the Tiny Tyrant. And I'm not proud of that. It's not because I was mean to people, but I stand my ground, I think. And for my best example probably is when we worked for the same group and I was the GM off of East 50, and it was a situation with the table that needed to be cut off. Like they were drunk and they were acting bananas and just being dumb. And so I go over and then they asked for the real manager, which obviously we've addressed. That's still me. And I stood my ground. They're like, we can't even just have a beer. We're going to cancel our food. And I was like, cool, cancel your food. We don't care about it.
That's different. When it comes to liability or guest safety or team member safety, absolutely, I stand my ground. But I'm talking like, and I can't, they can't get a certain size salad. They can't make a certain substitution or something. I can't think of a great example right this second, but like where it is a policy to say no in this situation. And rather than make a bigger situation when I can easily solve it, I just give in and do it.
Right. But okay. So yes, you're right. I think for the most part, you and I are the same mind when it comes to let's find a workaround or look, my favorite color and my favorite area are gray. Right.
Right.
Let's work in that. So that's okay to find a workaround, I think. And I think we both think the same way. So maybe I can't offer it for you to go, but I can do it with just the ingredients, and then you put your own dressing on it or whatever. We would figure something out, right?
Sure.
But the backstory of this, from what I've been told, is that he's done this before.
Right. And
so
I get that.
At this point, they're just like, man, you've got to stop. And that's when you do issue one of those trespassing warrants. So you don't want him to come back. You don't want him to think about all the other guest experiences that he ruined by behaving this way.
And based on what I read, the behavior warranted calling the police and trespassing.
I believe. I agree with that. Absolutely. I believe that. And I also, now that I know a little more, it is a little frustrating to see that he's taking selfies with the Winter Park Police Department. Yep. That is super, super unprofessional on their part. So
absolutely. Because
I'm all about being a cool cop,
Right. But this is from what I'm reading there, the two managers that dealt with it, did deal with kind of a pretty I wouldn't say traumatic, but this was a big deal. He's recording them.
No, I mean there's
without,
still times
without permission.
No, there were table touches that I did with pissed off guests that I would walk away from, heart racing, a little shaky, just and it's when people are not treating you necessarily like another human, it can be rough, man. Yep. And I feel like they're right for saying it was traumatic. It sucks. And for them to kind of be like, oh yeah, let's take a selfie with this dude who is our perpetrator in this situation. Yeah, it's totally fine. Right. This is fine.
Yeah. So that is our update to Saladgate. It seems like from this perspective, the whole thing, there was a lot of omitted details.
The salad has gone sour.
Yeah. There's a lot of omitted details that have kind of that this gentleman omitted and made himself
I was
going
to say toss the salad, but then I realized that's not okay either.
Yeah. So hopefully this response gets as much attention as the initial video so that we can put this thing to bed. And look, I'm all about getting attention and
you are,
and boosting your YouTube channels or your podcasts or your TikToks, but do it the right way. Don't do it by omitting facts and don't do it at someone else's expense. That's the big thing.
Yes.
Unless it's me doing it at Mary's expense.
Right. Wait a minute.
Unless it's me doing it at Mary's expense.
Wait a minute. No. Are we about to go into a break?
We are.
Hey, look, I just want to announce that our boy Jared got a perfect score on his second midterm.
What? Congratulations, Jared. That's awesome. We're gonna shoot up some fireworks for you today because it's 4th of July today. This is our 4th of July episode. Happy 4th of July. I hope everyone's having a good time. Good, safe time. We're going to go to break. We'll be right back. You're listening to the New Friends podcast. If you're looking to buy or sell your home, contact Brandy or Maria with eXp Realty. They've partnered up to bring you 5-star customer service along with years of real estate experience. Really cool cloud-based real estate service. And if you mention that you heard about Brandy and Maria from the No New Friends podcast and you buy or sell from Brandy and Maria, they're going to give you $1,000 cash at closing. Check them out on their website, www.winterspringsliving.com. Hey, New Friends listeners, if you're anything like me, you don't have the desire or time to clean your own house. That's why I've been using I Believe Services for the last 5 to 6 years. They are your one-stop shop for all of your cleaning needs. They do commercial, house cleaning, vacation homes, post-construction, party cleanup, deep cleaning, move-in or move-out, pressure washing, laundry, inside cabinets, fridge, oven, and much more. Call them today, 407-928-4595. Check them out on Facebook or their website, ibelieveservices.us.
Hey, this is Craig Brooks with Tasty Trivia, and you're listening to the No New Friends podcast.
Welcome back to the No New Friends podcast with Scott, Mary, and Chris. Chris is still not here. It's a podcast, not a radio show. Nothing's changed. He'll be back on on our next episode. And as always, please support our Patreon, www.patreon.com/No New Friends podcast. And please vote for us best podcast for Orlando Weekly. Vote.orlandoweekly.com under the category Best Local Color, Best Local Podcast. You have till August 1st. So get those votes in, share that with everybody. We need that win. We need that W. Jared voted for us. Jared shared that information, all that good stuff. I think I said check out our YouTube and please support our sponsors, I Believe Services and eXp Realty. Now, we recorded Monday, so that seems like forever ago, the last time we recorded.
It was. Yeah.
And you were in Winter Haven for your sister was going to be induced on Tuesday. Yes. And I remember texting you Tuesday morning and saying, Mary, make sure that you have, you've eaten a lot of food. You've got a full stomach so that you don't eat this baby when it comes out. And then I also said, move out of the way, let the doctor catch the baby.
Okay, look. All right, picture it, Sicily, 1923. I know every time you do it, every single time. And this, when I say that, it's a Golden Girls reference. I don't know if you know that.
Oh,
yes, that's it. Sophia always says picture it, Sicily, 1923. So my sister was induced Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. She finally delivered this baby Thursday morning at 2:44 a.m.
And what did I say? I said, so they're starting Tuesday 10 a.m. first baby. So Wednesday 2 p.m. probably.
Well, my favorite part though is you and I actually got into an argument via text because you thought you knew how inductions go.
You're wrong.
I was there.
I know. So here's the only difference. The inductions that I've gone through, there was at least 2 to 3 centimeters dilation going into it.
So, okay. My sister there was no progress. She was not in labor at all. So you have to start like from the beginning, which is a very good place to start if you're
because you begin with A, B,
I was hoping you'd pick up on that.
You begin with Do, re, mi.
Okay, listen. I'm gonna need you to stop. Okay, like, look, we're talking about something
Chris
very
is gonna be so
serious
mad.
right
We
now.
sang so much this episode. He wants to do a musical
basically
episode so
no.
bad.
I'm telling you, we need to do a say what karaoke, like old school MTV days.
There you go. There you
Summer
go.
jams.
Maybe we'll do some fun stuff like that as bonus episodes.
Okay, private videos.
Continue.
Anyways, okay, so they started her on medication that makes you have contractions, and contractions are painful. They don't feel good. And, my sister's a trooper, man. She was like, nah, I don't need anything. I'm fine. And at one point she looked at me and she was like, I don't know if I'm fine anymore. It's a little rough. And there's 3 options for pain management. There is nitrous gas, basically laughing gas. There's Stadol.
Stadol and Demerol.
And then there's an epidural. But they usually don't do an epidural until you are starting to progress and, you're
Correct.
moving along, because an epidural can technically slow down labor a little bit.
Absolutely.
So at this point, the epidural was not an option. And she was like, you know what, I'll take the Stadol. Fun story about me with Stadol. When I had Zoe, I chose to go the route without the epidural.
Oh.
And
I could see you doing that because, God, Mary, you are so damn stubborn. And you're like,
no, well, here's the thing. I was in labor with Zoe for 57 hours. And my sister said she'll never forget the sound I made when Zoe's shoulders came out.
Yeah.
Because that was the worst thing ever. But I did opt to take Stadol at one point because I was dying.
Yeah.
And my dad came into the room and was asking me what I was doing with my arms. And I told him I was practicing folding towels. And he was like, that's weird. And I was like, shh, don't talk. And he was like, what? I was like, you don't see that cat in the room? Like I was hallucinating, like I was full on. And at that point, my dad was like, all right, I'm going to send your mom in because I thought there was a cat in the room. I was that out of it. I was in so much pain, but also hopped up on medication.
And if anybody wants to see what that would kind of be like, there is a video on YouTube after Mary got her wisdom teeth taken out, talking about hedgehogs and tables for 2 and all sorts of fun stuff.
Okay, so I think the moral of that story is I don't handle medication well. Or I do. Maybe I handle it too well.
When I think you handle it exactly how you should, but you're so tiny. Like, how do they?
Well, when I had my hysterectomy, I stopped breathing because it felt so good. And I remember them trying to like get me to breathe, but I didn't want to. Like, I remember feeling so warm in recovery and not wanting to breathe. And then being like, Mary, you have to breathe. And I was like, no, thank you. This feels great. I'd rather not.
The facial expressions that Jared's making and I'm making to this story, you're going to have to check it out on YouTube.
Okay. So she was a trooper. And then, she went through all these different rounds of a specific medication to help her get into labor. And then finally she progressed enough to get the epidural. And so my sister's never had an epidural. So Dave, who is the father of Jameson, her partner, wonderful dude. Love this guy. 100% British and awesome. So, but he's never had a baby before, obviously, never been around an epidural. So when you have an epidural, you have to like hold on to something and like curl over. So he was like, Mary, you step in because you know what to tell her. Well, and I could tell her, all right, it's going to burn at this point. This is going to feel really weird. You're going to feel this because I've had, 2 epidurals. I know. Right. And so, and let me tell you something about my sister. This woman, she literally contracted for days. This woman was in labor for days and handled it like a freaking champ. Men don't know what it feels like to get checked, to have your cervix checked. But I watched her get quote unquote checked while having, well, it's different. Think that times 10 while having a contraction, handled it like a champ. Like this woman went through it for this kid. So she, finally gets her epidural, handled that like a champ, didn't even flinch. And an epidural is no joke. Like that feels weird. That is some weird shit that happens to your body. Like they thread something through your spine, your legs jump. It feels weird. Handled it great.
Nice.
Continues on. And she progressed really quickly from there. And at one point she's like, man, I feel a lot of pressure. Like it's not pain. I don't know. So we get the midwife to come in or the doctor and they're like, oh yeah, it's about time to push. Let's get the room ready. And so I'm like, oh my God. And I have a side note, and I don't want to admit it, but I'm going to. My mom brought me a cocktail to have. She smuggled me in. My mom smuggled me in a Diet Coke and Tito's while I was there because I had been there for days.
Yeah, no. So she started pushing because I remember I texted you and I said, "Hey, what's going on? Do we have a baby?"
Right.
Yet?
So this was she got induced Tuesday at 10 a.m. This was Wednesday at 3:41 p.m. when they were like, "Okay, it's going to be time soon." They start clearing the room out. They bring in the baby warmer. They bring in all the doctor's materials that they'll need to deliver the baby because she's 9 centimeters. It's time. It's almost time, right? It's going to happen.
No, it's 9 not centimeters. Almost. 9 centimeters. Well, 9 centimeters is almost, but you still have to get to 10.
Well, 10, but she was 100% effaced. Like it was going to happen very, very soon. So they're getting the room ready. Like the respiratory team comes in. They're like, hey, we're here. Like, we're going to put our stuff here. Like, it's cool. Leave. Everything's fine. And so we're like, all right, baby's coming anytime. I'm texting family members, letting them know baby's going to be here soon. She didn't have that baby until almost 12 hours later.
Yeah. Wow. I know. That's crazy.
Well, part of it is because she's so petite. And that was what some of what the feedback from the doctor that delivered is that she probably shouldn't have delivered that baby at all. Is that she's just C-section. So small.
Yeah.
That should have probably been what happened.
When you said that she was pushing at 3:45 or whatever time it was that you said she's pushing, and then I texted you right before I went to bed, which was like 11:30 at night, and you're like, yeah, still nothing.
We got nothing.
I'm like, we need to do a C-section here because first of all, first child always longer labor.
Right. And that was to be expected.
Sure.
And so, she didn't actually start pushing until I would have to look at my phone to even look when she started pushing, but they like to do what's called laboring down. So it wasn't necessarily a fact that she wasn't dilated enough. The baby just hadn't dropped down enough to come out, I guess. Right. So the baby started going into distress a little bit. His heart rate dropped. So the nurse tried to stimulate him, and my sister's blood pressure was really high. She was really swollen. And so things got a little intense. And of course I'm, going crazy too. And so,
oh my God, I could see oh my God, I can just picture.
No, I wasn't, I wasn't acting. No, I wasn't.
And you're
doing
crazy. TikTok videos with your dancing.
No, okay. You laugh, but I told Dave that he had to learn this dance with me and I sent it to him, but he didn't learn it. I did. It's fine. But so the nurse was like, we're going to try to push because you're ready. You're 10 centimeters. Let's just try it because maybe that'll help. His heart rate was down. Maybe it would help. And it did help. His heart rate went up because she was pushing and she did a great job. So then they gave her a break, gave her more Pitocin to, push things along. And then she finally, pushed him out, but she really went through it. And she's got a long, long, long road of recovery ahead of her. But I will say that I've never seen anything more amazing in my entire life. That was I'll get choked up talking about it.
Yeah.
Oh,
she started pushing at 11:45 or 12:46 a.m. on Thursday. That's when you texted us.
Yep. And then she had him at 2:44.
Yeah.
And
then I texted you at 12:46. Hey, yay, you want to record?
Oh my God, I can't. So I do have a few little videos of right when he came out. What I will say is this child is the most chill baby I've ever met in my life. He didn't cry. He let out a little when he was born and that's it. And he was completely fine.
Yeah.
And then he went over to, they inspected him and did all that stuff and gave him shots and stuff. No crying.
Huh.
Ever.
Wow.
Never. He just hangs out. He's so chill. No. And so he was very small though. He's 6 pounds, 1 ounce when he was born.
Yeah.
Little guy. And
still a healthy size. I mean, it's little,
healthy size, but
your sister's tiny. You're tiny.
My sister is very tiny. She's an inch smaller than I am. She's 1 inch shorter. I would like to make it note, please, that I am taller than someone.
4 races darker than you.
Yes. 100%. But Dave is super British, so he'll just come out evenly tanned, I guess. I don't know. So he's super calm. They even they had to check his sugar all the time just because he was so small. And I was there visiting after I went home and napped for 2 hours before I had to work Thursday daytime. I'm still catching up on sleep now. I'm still exhausted.
When did you leave Winter Haven?
I left Winter Haven Thursday at 5 p.m.
Oh my, Oh, 5 p.m. Okay. All right. Got it.
Yeah. No. So she had him at 2:44 a.m. Mm-hmm. I stayed with them until they moved to the like mom and baby area. And then I went to her house and crashed for about 3 hours before I had to start working for the day. Because I hadn't been working.
Right.
I've been trying to from the hospital, but it's really tough. Like she was having contractions. I was trying to be there for her and like help.
Yeah.
And like I had to take a Zoom call while she was like, in labor. And I'm like, it's totally fine, guys. It's
Meanwhile, I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, we're not going to have a baby Tuesday night. Why did we not record again tonight? But whatever. You're having
because and also I would like to point out they have one comfortable chair in that room. And when I say comfortable, like that's a stretch. And then one wooden chair.
Sure.
I tried to sleep in the wooden chair and I made it about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even sleep anyways, because also I was too juiced up. I was too hype. I was so excited.
Right.
So they got to come home today though. So she went, home, and Damien, her son, got to meet his little brother, and it was so beautiful. And I'm obsessed with this baby. He's perfect in every way. And I'm still just like so in awe of my sister for going through what she went through. And like, she stayed in such good spirits the entire time.
Comes along.
No, seriously, like she went through so much crap with that labor and delivery and even recovery. And she just still is like, oh, but look at, like, she's just, man, if we could all just be a little bit like her, let me tell you, the world would be a better place.
I love it. Well, cool. I'm so glad that it's done, and the baby's here, and now healthy.
I'm the crazy
She's doing
aunt.
good, and now you're the crazy aunt.
No, I've blocked off. I don't think you understand. I take appointments for work, and I've blocked off a whole like time period so I can FaceTime with my baby.
Yeah.
Because I want to see him.
I'm glad that you don't have the baby. I really expected to see the baby with you during this recording.
Here's the thing, they have security measures that I couldn't carry him out. They told me too. They're like, if you're carrying the baby in the halls, we'll know that it's not yours.
Yeah.
Damn it, they know.
Yeah. It's got an alarm. It's got an alarm.
Well, it has two bracelets, and then you're not allowed to physically carry an infant in the halls. It has to be in its little like pushy thing.
Yep.
So there went my plans.
But it can only be the mother or the father. It can't be another relative. The only time you can hold the baby is in the room.
Correct.
Well, I'm glad that you didn't cut it off or anything and try to make a run for it.
What I meant to tell you is I didn't catch the baby, but I got to like hold legs and help get the baby out a little bit. And that was pretty cool.
There you go.
That was a cool.
Did they let you cut the umbilical cord?
No, that's Dave's job.
Well, are you sure?
Baby.
Are you sure? Because
I didn't really make the baby. There's none of my DNA in. Well, kind of, I guess. Because I don't know.
Fight the father. Just no. I'm cutting the umbilical cord. You got to help make it. That. Let me have part of this.
I wouldn't have done that to him, but I would have pushed that doctor out of the way and delivered the baby. I was at that point because I felt like I could. When his head came out, I was like, oh my gosh, look at him. Like we were almost nose to nose. And then I realized that that's not a good place for me to be.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It was wonderful. The most amazing thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Well, cool. I'm so happy. Congratulations to your sister and Dave is the name, right?
Dave,
yeah, congratulations.
So the baby is Jameson John Bottomley, and he's the cutest little baby ever.
That's so exciting. All right, that's going to do it for us today for this shortened 4th of July episode. We just wanted to bring you a Saladgate update and then have Mary
Babygate. Babygate is an actual thing, though.
Yeah, I think Babygate. Yeah, I think that's when Michael Jackson held the baby over the balcony. So we can't call it Babygate. But anyway, as always, please connect with us on the Facebook No New Friends Podcast, the Instagram no.new.friends.podcast, our YouTube channel. Support us on Patreon, www.patreon.com/No New Friends Podcast. And please vote for us, No New Friends Podcast at vote.orlandoweekly.com under the category Best Local Color, Best Local Podcast. You can email us nonewfriendspodcast@yahoo.com. And we'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.
No New Friends Podcast is now using Nikki Podcast Preparations Incorporated. which is a podcast management consultant agency of services that helps independent podcasts obtain more plays, downloads, guests, sponsors, and a bunch of the legwork behind the microphone when it comes to podcasting. CEO Nick can be contacted via Twitter or Instagram at NickyKeepyINC. And if you tell him that the No New Friends podcast sent you, we'll both get a 25% discount. Nicky has helped accumulate millions upon millions of downloads, tens of thousands of dollars in sponsorships, celebrity guests, and much more. So just shoot him a direct message to get your podcast growing.